Can I be Pokemon Scarlet with a single shiny Pokemon? That's a question I wanted to set out to answer. I wanted to give myself a challenge, so I set some rules for this. The first rule being that I needed to catch a shiny Pokemon, and that's the only Pokemon I could use. Why use a shiny Pokemon, you ask? Well, they're awesome, and I wanted to do it in style. I'm going to capture whatever Pokemon shines first. Second, I'm not going to use healing items during battle. This means potions, berries, anything like that. And lastly, I'm going to set a level cap for myself. This is going to be whatever the highest level of the Pokemon is for the next gym leader. I was thinking about trying to keep a level cap across every badge, but it gets pretty hard, and I really just want to focus on Victory Road for this. So I'm going to be doing the other paths, but we're really going to focus the level cap just on the gyms. Here's the order and the level caps that we'll be following. Okay, rules are set. Let's get this challenge started. Also, might go without saying, but there's going to be spoilers in this video. Oh hey, before we kick this challenge off, could you guys go ahead and like and subscribe? This video took a while and I put a lot of time and effort to it, and it really just helps the channel grow. I purchased Pokemon Scarlet specifically for this challenge, which I was going to buy anyway as I wanted to hunt these Paradox Pokemon. After Clavel dropped some papers off to my house, I grabbed my starter, Quaxly. I chose him purely for the fact that he's the only starter I need since I have a Sprigatito and a Fuecoco. I got up to Mesagoza and got all three of the paths started, and my treasure hunt was on its way. The first part of this challenge is to find a shiny Pokemon, and with the level cap that I set for myself, this limits the areas where we can hunt. I thought about who I wanted for this challenge. The first Pokemon that came to mind that would be successful was Ralts. Ralts evolves into Gardevoir and is a Psychic Fairy type with high special attack. It can also learn a lot of healing moves, which would be important because I can't heal myself with potions during battle. Ralts fortunately spawns near Los Platos, but what I didn't know is that it's a rare spawn. So besides the fixed spawns, which we don't want to hunt, there aren't that many that spawn, which really slows down this challenge. So after a little bit of research, I found this churro stand in Mesagoza that sells you an Encounter Power level 1 Psychic Sandwich. Or churro, I suppose. With this, I was able to get a lot more to spawn, and I have an easy path where I just run around this tree and back into town to despawn them. But here's the second issue I face with hunting Ralts. Ralts only spawns in the daytime in game, even with the encounter power. So when nighttime hits, I just have to sit there and wait for it to be day. This, again, really slows down the hunt. On my third IRL day of hunting Ralts, I found a Fletchling outbreak right near me. After looking at Talonflame, Fletchling's final evolution, I thought that this could be a decent Pokemon as well. Talonflame is a flying fire Pokemon with high attack and speed, and it learns moves like Rest and Roost, which allow me to regain HP. So my new strategy was to hunt Ralts when it was daytime in game, and Fletchling at night, and whichever shined first would be my partner for this challenge. Oh, shiny Fletchling! Shiny Fletchling! There it is! Okay, yes! Shiny Fletchling! Okay, this is what we're gonna use. Shiny Fletchling. Nice! Fletchling is a pretty cool shiny, I won't lie. Yes! The challenge can begin. Fletchling it is. Overall, this is a pretty cool shiny, and its evolutions look really nice as well. Now, with a single shiny Pokemon, it's time to start earning some badges. I knew immediately that I would need to EV train into a certain stat in order to have success in this challenge. When you look at Talonflame's moveset, it just makes sense to EV train attack. So I began killing some Shinx. Shinx give attack XP per kill, so I grinded these little guys till I was level 15. Once I hit level 15, I was ready for my first gym badge. I made my way to Cortando to take on Katie, the bug gym leader. I started the gym test where I rolled some olives around and made my way to face her. I figured this would be an easy battle since I had a fire flying Pokemon. I should be able to just breeze right through. Plus, I had Terrassalization. Katie's team consists of Nimble, Tarantula, and a bug Terra Teddiursa. My strategy was pretty simple for this fight. Just use Air Cutter since it did the most damage and it was super effective. I was able to one-shot Nimble and two-shot Tarantula. With two Pokemon down, I was 1 KO away from my first badge. What? Are you kidding? Okay, who could have predicted it was going to hit me 5 times? My second try went a lot smoother and we were on the board with our first badge. I decided to skip over the Rock Titan and battle the second gym in Artisan, as the level cap doesn't leave me much wiggle room. On my way over, Fletchling evolved into a Fletchender, and the gym test is simply finding some flora around the area. After we complete this, we're able to take on Brassius, the grass leader. Brassius' team consists of Petlil, Smoliv, and a grass Terra type Sudowoodo. I had picked up Flame Charge when my Fletchender evolved, and I also added Rest in order to regain HP. I was able to Flame Charge down the Petlil and Smoliv. For Sudowoodo, I needed to Terrastalize. Sudowoodo being rock means it would have absolutely crushed my Fletchender if I didn't. Also, this is the point where I realized that I have a normal Terra type, not flying or fire. I did not realize that Fletchling is a normal fire Pokemon and not a flying fire Pokemon. Luckily, this wouldn't be that big of a deal because normal is only weak to fighting. I was able to get one Flame Charge off, but Sudowoodo's Trailblaze did a lot of damage to me and I needed to use Rest. I was lucky that it missed the Rock Throw, and on its second Trailblaze, it got burned. With 12 HP remaining, I thought my next Flame Charge was going to kill it.
Oh, he lived! Yes! Let's go. What a battle.
I survived with 1 HP. I got so lucky here, but the burn definitely kept me alive. 2 badges down. Unfortunately, we kinda just got the 2 easiest out of the way in terms of typing. But regardless, we're making progress. It was at this point I realized I needed to EV train more before I could continue. I went over to Mesagoza and got myself the Power Brace to easily EV train attack. I found out where some Flamigo spawn, which give attack EVs, and went at it. After getting max attack, I did the same thing for HP, as I figured this was the next most important stat. More HP means harder to kill. I also picked up a Muscle Band to give Fletchender, so it can do more damage. Up next was our first Titan, the Stone Titan Cloth. I don't have any moves to one-shot this thing, so it ended up being a grind between Air Cutter and Flame Charge. I needed to just hope it didn't use Rock Tomb because that was an easy one-shot, and I couldn't Terra because it knows Rock Smash, which is also a one-shot. Luckily, he favored Rock Smash and Vice Grip, and I was able to burn him down. Arvin arrived to help me as the Titan went Super Saiyan, and with his Shelder's help, we were able to defeat our first Titan together. Arvin whipped up a Herba Mystica sandwich that I ended up giving to Koraidon, and in return, Koraidon learned how to dash. Fair trade, I'd say. Next, I made my way over to the Sky Titan. This jerk throws boulders at you, so after dodging them, I was able to encounter this giant Bombardier. Flame Charge was starting to hit hard now, and 2 of them plus a flail was able to get through the first phase of this battle. Arvin conveniently shows up again just in time as the Titan eats the Herba Mystica. This time Arvin brings out his Knackley, and being that I was at 6 HP, I decided to rest, but this Bombardier had other plans and plucked me to death. Now normally I'd reset here, but I already did the hard part, so I let Arvin carry some of his weight. His Knackley was able to take this thing down with some smackdowns and rock throws. And we had our second Titan down. Professor Sada called me to give me an update that Koraidon can now swim. I didn't think much of these additions to Koraidon for this challenge other than the fact I'd be able to move around the map easier, but some of the TMs I ended up needing were in places that I would not normally be able to get to if I couldn't swim or jump higher, so I was overall glad that I did these around the times that I needed to. My Fletchender was level 24 and I was ready for my 3rd badge. Once you get to this gym, you run into Nemona. I actually forgot about these battles with her, and they're technically optional, but it just didn't sit right with me that I can lose these and continue on, so I made it a point to defeat her every time we battled. At this point, she has 3 Pokemon, Rockruff, Pawmi, and Crocalor, since I chose Quaxly. I need to Terra right away against Rockruff or it's going to kill me right away. After a few Flame Charges, I'm able to knock out Rockruff. Next is Pawmi, and this thing dies to 1 Flame Charge, which makes my life easy. Next up is the Crocalor, which she Terras also. It either uses Yawn or Incinerate, and Incinerate hits really hard. The first time I fought her, Air Cutter and Flame Charge were bad moves to do damage against, so I either fell asleep to Yawn and died within 2 to 3 Incinerates, or I used Rest to get my health back, but then I also died from 2 to 3 Incinerates. So I switched up my moveset to include Takedown. Takedown has 90 power and takes 1/4 of the damage as recoil. But 2 takedowns kill Crocalor, so if it yawned turn 1, I was able to knock it out on the 2nd turn before I fell asleep. Okay, I think Yawn is still okay. This takedown just has to kill. Yes, there it is. Nemona defeated. This was the first battle that it took me over 5 tries to get, so she has to be my toughest opponent, right? Oh no. What's that music? Wait, you're telling me there's someone harder? After my win, I can now take on Iona. Her gym test is a bit of an I Spy with Director Clavel, who apparently never works between this and being Clive. And after a few battles, which Takedown mostly takes care of, I was now level 25 due to the battles plus Nemona. But as I mentioned in the beginning, it was going to be hard for me to account for this with gym tests, so as long as I was under the level cap, I'm good. Iona's team is Wattrel, Luxio, Bellybolt, and an Electric Terra Mismagius. I thought that this fight would be a lot easier than it actually was. I was getting comfortable with my normal Terra type. Obviously, being flying, I would need to Terra right away to avoid getting one-shot by an electric move. But there's a lot that can make this fight hard, even when you take away the type advantage. First is paralysis. A lot of electric moves have the possibility to paralyze, and that will kill my speed advantage, and possibly allow me to miss an attack. The second was Bellybolt's ability, Electromorphosis, which, when it takes an electric attack, it boosts the power of its next electric move. I couldn't one-shot Bellybolt, so I was basically giving it a free boost to hit me as hard as it could. Lastly, Luxio. Its ability is Intimidate, which lowers my attack, which is my only source of damage, so it's not ideal to have this lowered. Takedown was my new main strat, and while it did well for Wattrel and was able to get me through Bellybolt, I was not having success getting past Luxio. A few things I realized is that rest is a mandatory 2 turns. I thought it was like normal sleep where your percentage to wake up increases after every turn. This really hurts as I have to tank 3 attacks, 1 from the first turn that I use rest and then 2 more after that. The second was that this is the first trainer I fought to have 4 Pokemon, so I've got to go a longer distance than usual. So I attempted to change around my items that I was using. I got Silk Scarf to power up normal moves since Takedown was my new go-to. I also picked up Sharp Beak and Charcoal as these power up fire and flying moves. I knew that these would be useful later on. I even grabbed Metronome, which continually adds 20% damage as long as you keep doing the same move over and over. The idea here was to try to scale my damage so that I was one-shotting everything, but I eventually needed to rest, and that breaks the damage chain. Despite my best efforts changing the items around, I was not having luck, and this quickly became the hardest fight so far. I decided to revisit the list of moves that this line can learn, and I saw Sleep Talk. Sleep Talk allows you to do a random move while you're asleep. So my moveset was Flame Charge, Takedown, Rest, and Sleep Talk. This allowed me to potentially do damage on the 2 turns that I needed to sleep in order to get my HP back. With Flame Charge and Takedown as options, I now had a 66% chance to do damage and a 33% chance to rest again. If I needed to regain HP on the turn that I woke up, I can now just rest again. Now I wasn't really losing turns to rest. With this, I was able to get past Luxio and get to Mismagius. Mismagius is its own issue. See, it knows Charge Beam, which hits hard to begin with, but it also raises its special attack, meaning that the next Charge Beam will hit even harder. On top of that, it knows Confuse Ray, which really just messes with me. So what's the strat to beat this? Well, it looks like this. While holding Silk Scarf turn 1, I Terra, and use Takedown on Wattrel for a 1-hit KO. Iona will then throw out Bellybolt. I use Takedown again, and tank a Spark hit from Bellybolt, hoping that I don't get paralyzed. I hit Rest and begin to Sleep Talk, hoping that I hit a Takedown or a Flame Charge. What helped a lot is Flame Body, Fletchender's ability. It gives me a 30% chance to burn the target when they do physical moves on me. This also halves their attack, which really helps when I'm resting and need to survive for 2 turns. Bellybolt gets burnt and we continue to Sleep Talk. Bellybolt dies of its burn and we rest right before Luxio is out so we have full HP. We're able to land back-to-back takedowns through Sleep Talk on Luxio and knock it out. This is perfect timing because I have 27 HP as Mismagius comes out and I can rest the next turn. I tank a Charge Beam and I'm able to use Takedown from Sleep Talk. Luckily, Mismagius decides to use Confuse Ray and not Charge Beam, so I just need to hit 1 more Takedown to win. I need to hit Takedown through Sleep Talk and also not hit myself in Confusion. The odds felt stacked against me, but this was the only win scenario. Takedown Flame Charge, please. Takedown Flame Charge.
Takedown! I think that's it. That's it. Yes. Yes. Oh, I did it. Oh, yes, I did it. Oh, this was so hard. Yes.
I get the takedown, survive the recoil, and defeat Iona. I guess Iona was the toughest trainer. Oh, come on. I briefly stopped at the Dark Starfall base where I found out that you can't actually do the first part of the base with only 1 Pokemon. It's sorta lame, but whatever. I caught a Skiddo to tag along with Quaxley, and after getting through the 30 Pokemon, I faced off against Giacomo. And let me tell you that the Reverum he has is not level 21. I refuse to believe it. After a few failed attempts, I decided to not go after it and come back. I decided I'd go take on the Steel Titan Orthworm instead. This is a favorable matchup for me being fire. I set up Sunny Day and I smacked it twice with Flame Charge, and the first phase was done. I chased it through a tunnel that it made and I met up with Arven, and phase 2 began. I hit it with a Flame Charge and Arven's Toadstool did Screech, lowering its defense, which made my next Flame Charge hit a lot harder. Orthworm did Sandstorm, and that pretty much ended the fight there, as all I needed to do was hit it for one more Flame Charge. And we were 3 Titans down. Koraidon now has the ability to jump higher. I hit level 28 and headed back to Giacomo to finally get my first Starfall leader down. This fight is so weird. The Pawniard dies super quick to any fire move, but the Reverum is like 10 times harder. Being dark doesn't really help, but its Wicked Torque absolutely destroys me. I set up Sunny Day and used some Flame Charges to get some hits in. I then rested and decided to go with the Sleep Talk strategy. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do this, even being level 28, but regardless, I reset up Sunny Day from Sleep Talk and was able to hit it with another 3 Flame Charges to get the victory, and my first Starfall base was defeated. Kofu was my next target. He forgets his wallet on his way to the market, and you outbid some people for what probably is the easiest gym challenge there is. But Kofu isn't not an easy gym leader. He's the water gym leader, another counter to Fletchinder, and his team is tough. He has Veluza, Wugtrio, and a Water Terra Crabominal. I need to Terra immediately to avoid a one-hit KO from Water move, and by doing so, I'm now weak to Crabominal, which is fighting Ice. He only has 3 Pokemon, but it's a tricky team to fight. Now that Koraidon can jump higher, I was able to grab TM Fly. This is a harder hitting flying move that I was unable to get until now. So I ran this strat where I would fly over and over with Metronome attached to have it hit harder each time I used it. I was able to 2-shot Veluza, but the Wugtrio was faster than me, and it used Headbutt, which did a decent chunk of damage. Plus I had the chance to flinch, which means I was dead the next turn. I needed to rethink my strat. Plus, you can't use Fly with Sleep Talk, so I can't utilize that strategy here. Looking at the moveset again, I realized that there was a move that I had overlooked that would totally be my saving grace for this challenge. Swords Dance. Swords Dance raises your attack by +2, and since I'm max attack, this would mean that I can hit harder. I decided to run Self Scarf, Swords Dance, Takedown, Sleep Talk, and Rest, utilizing the same strat that I did with Iono, but now I can hit harder by setting up Swords Dance. Sleep Talk now only has a 33% chance to hit a damaging move since I only have 1, but if it hits, I'm going to hit a lot harder. So my game plan was to Terra Swords Dance turn 1. I'd then Takedown to kill Veluza. I'd Rest on Wugtrio after taking a Headbutt, then I'd Sleep Talk, hoping for a burn on the Headbutt, and a Takedown or a Swords Dance would work too. Luckily, I get the burn on the second Headbutt. I flinch, but I'm able to get a Swords Dance off on the second Sleep Talk. I now am +4 attack. Wugtrio switches to Water Pulse, which doesn't hit as hard, and I'm able to hit Takedown as soon as I wake up, and it KOs Wugtrio. With only 16 health remaining, I need to rest going into Crabominal. It opens up with Rock Smash, which crushes me, putting me under half HP. I use Sleep Talk, and I have to pray for a takedown. I get it. Oh, please live. But I need this to kill, and I need to survive the recoil. Yes! And it does. Kofu is down. This fight took a while, but it was less complicated than Iono. It was a lot more straightforward, and it was just about getting the RNG right. I'm slowly starting to learn the rotation and what moves I need in order to make this challenge successful. I took on Mela next, the Fire Starfall boss. I assembled my trio for the first phase of this. What surprises me is that Quaxley is like level 16 and is able to knock out these level 30s with Let's Go. I made it to Mela and her team consists of Torkoal and Reverum. Pretty straightforward. Despite me being fire flying, I didn't really struggle with this battle. Torkoal sets up Sunny Day with his ability Drought, and I was able to Swords Dance against Torkoal without fear of dying as its Flame Wheel didn't hit that hard. It did clear Smog once, which reset the attack boosts, but I was able to get them back with a few more Swords Dances. I used Takedown to get the KO, and it was time for Reverum. I rested to get back to full HP. 3 takedowns at +4 attack is enough to knock out the Reverum, and my second Starfall base is conquered. Next up was a fan favorite, Larry. His gym test is actually the most fun in the game. It's to solve what the special menu item is, but on my initial playthrough of the game, I actually enjoy trying to figure this out, and I was glad that I didn't just look it up. I used some candies that I found on the ground to get Fletchinder to level 35, which allows it to evolve to Talonflame. We finally have the final evolution. It's such a great shiny too, the dark red is stunning. Larry is the normal gym leader whose team consists of Kamala, Dunsparce, and a normal Terra-type Staraptor. Larry leads with Kamala, who uses Yawn, so I use Swords Dance. Yawn didn't bother me because I have Sleep Talk, and now I have the chance to wake up sooner. I use Takedown to get the KO, and he brings out Dunsparce. I end up going to sleep, but I immediately use Sleep Talk. where I unfortunately use rest. I eat a Hyper Drill and burn the Dunsparce via Flame Body in the process. Hyper Drill does a lot of damage, so much so that I can't live 2 of them consecutively without a burn. But I wake up and I'm able to rest again. Now, with it burned, Hyper Drill doesn't hit for nearly as much. This allows me to get a takedown off from Sleep Talk. It doesn't kill, and I end up eating another Hyper Drill in the process, but I still have 50 HP. I end up hitting rest again on Sleep Talk, and I take one more Hyper Drill. I live with 20 HP and I'm able to actually use rest once more to recover. It's a fun pattern, right? The next 2 turns are uneventful, as I get rest once more on Sleep Talk and Dunsparce uses Glare, which fails. I decide to not Sleep Talk on the following turn, as the burn is about to KO it. Dunsparce falls to the burn and we get to face Staraptor on our first turn. Are we really about to beat Larry first try? Huh, there's no music that time. Staraptor has Intimidate, which isn't great, but I'm still at +1 attack, so I Swords Dance and I tank a Fade. I decide to Terra and use Takedown in hopes I'll just KO and survive the recoil at 40 HP. Kinda ballsy looking back at it, but it pays off, and Staraptor is down and Larry is defeated on try number 1. Amazing, I know, right? I felt like throwing a party after all the attempts I had to go through for other gyms. Wait, hold up, is that Nemona? You gotta be kidding me. I have to face her right after Larry? And I can't even save? Okay, so I need to beat Larry and then Nemona in one go. That should be easy, right? You got to be kidding me. This time around, she has a Lycanroc, Goomy, Palmo, and Skeledirge. She opens with Lycanroc, pretty standard, so I Terra. I try to use Takedown thinking I'll one-shot it. I don't know why I didn't just set up first, and that doesn't work. So I get some Sword Dances off and I finish it off with another Takedown. I rest and I tank a Dragon Pulse from Goomy. One Takedown through Sleep Talk gets the KO on Gloomy, and I'm able to get another Takedown onto Palmo for the KO. Okay, so far so good. 1 Pokemon left. And I wake up this turn. Solid. I click Takedown thinking I can move on to the next gym, and he missed. Oh no. I miss. 85% accuracy, and I missed. 1 Torch Song from Skeledirge kills me. So we start again. You're probably thinking, okay, you'll breeze through Larry, and Nemona's the issue. No, I couldn't replicate my success against Larry. It was really his Dunsparce. I'd either not get the burn and not live through 3 Hyper Drills, or when I needed to hit takedowns, I'd miss, or I would hit and I wouldn't do enough damage. I ended up swapping Takedown for Brave Bird and gave Talonflame Sharp Beak so flying moves do more damage. With this, I Brave Bird down Kamala on turn 1, Swords Dance into Dunsparce, and then rest. I got 1 more Swords Dance off while sleeping, and I hit the Brave Bird through Sleep Talk. Perfect timing, because with low HP, I now face Staraptor. I woke up, so I immediately rested. 1 Sleep Talk was enough as I hit Brave Bird and got the KO. Phew! Okay, so now it's time for Nemona. This attempt, I aim to boost my attack to +6 before I do any attacking moves. So I Terra and do 3 Swords Dances, all while taking hits from Lycanroc. It pays off, as I don't die, and now I can rest and begin attacking. Here's a quick compilation of Brave Birds. 3 Brave Birds, 3 kills. Only issue is now I'm low on HP. Luckily, I leveled up to level 38 and can learn the move Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace has less power, but doesn't miss and there's no recoil. With +6 attack, I gamble on it killing Skeledirge in 1 hit. Kill. And it does. The gauntlet of Larry and Nemona is done. Atticus was our next target, the Poison Starfall boss. He has a Skunk Tank, Muck, Reveroom, and another Reveroom as his team. Skunk Tank just tries to Sucker Punch me a bunch, and I raise my attack and Flame Charge it down. I use Flame Charge once more to kill Muck, and the first Reveroom catches a Flame Charge as well. Now is the boss Reveroom. I use Flame Charge, and it does Flame Charge? Hey, that's my move. 2 more Flame Charges solidify the KO, and we topple another base. We headed into the snowy landscape of Glacedo Mountain to attempt our next gym badge, Rhyme. This battle is unique since it's all double battles starting from the gym challenge, which is performing as the opening act for Rhyme. They wouldn't let me do the battles with 1 Pokemon, so Quaxly was my stand-in. Since this is a ghost gym, I was just going to use Pound with Quaxly on the opponents, which has no effect. He's really just there to take damage from me. I was unsure how this would go. I mean, it's a 2v1, but I can set up my attack and hopefully just get easy knockouts. I get all the way through the gym challenge when I realize I have normal Terra type. Ghost moves won't affect me. Rhyme leads with Mimikyu and Banette, so I Terra and Swords Dance. Quaxly takes a Shadow Sneak and they try to do the same to Talonflame, but hey, doesn't affect me. I get a boost from the crowd, which I didn't realize that this was a thing, and decided 1 more Swords Dance will do the trick. I can now start targeting some Pokemon. I Aerial Ace Banette, and then the Houndstone she brings out. All this time, Mimikyu is just slashing me while burnt, doing absolutely no damage. Finally, her Toxtricity comes out and Terra's into a Ghost. I just Aerial Ace it like I did the previous 2, and what once was a 4v1 is now a 1v1. I end up needing to Aerial Ace Mimikyu twice since it has Disguise, but there was no real trouble. And for the first time since Brassius, we completed a gym without any issues. I was feeling really good. We're 12 badges down. I went from snow to sand in pursuit of the Earth Titan. The Ancient Donphan was no real issue for me, being that flying is super effective. One Brave Bird finishes the first stage. Arvin Scovalian got in on the fun and we both bullied this Titan. I powered up with Swords Dance and one Brave Bird was enough to end the fight. 4th Titan down. Koraidon can now glide, which really didn't help much, but hey, it's a lot of fun. Next on my map was Alpharonda to take on Tulip, the Psychic Gym leader. Somehow, as soon as I entered the gym, Nemona is there waiting for me. Like, we just fought, didn't we? Or am I crazy? Anyway, we made our way to the battlefield for another bout. Her team doesn't change a whole lot here. Her Gumi evolves into Sliggoo and Palmo to Palmot. I think by this point I knew exactly how to fight this battle. I Terra and Swords Dance twice into Lycanroc, and then Brave Bird. I Swords Dance once more against Sliggoo and use Aerial Ace to get the KO. I was on 1 HP at this point and was in a very offensive mindset, so I'm not running my Rest Sleep Talk combo. So I continue to Aerial Ace, as it's the best move I have to dish out damage, and being +6 attack is enough to KO Palmot and Skeledirge. A nail biter, but I'm becoming a pro at these fights. I can now take on Tulip. The gym challenge is like a Simon Says, but with your emotions. Oh, and throw in a few battles, which really aren't challenging. Before you know it, we're at Tulip. Her team consists of Farafarig, Gardevoir, Esparthra, and a Psychic Terra Florges. Throughout this challenge, I've used different strategies to get me to this point, but right now, this was my strongest form. Swords Dance until I'm +6, and then slaughter the team with Aerial Ace. I had given up on Rest because I was unstoppable. Hope you enjoyed that quick montage of me wiping Tulip. We were 1 gym away from the Elite Four, and would you look at that? Some Elite Four members are in the lobby waiting for me. I felt like I was on a hot streak of knocking these badges down. I was hungry to finish off the 8th gym. For reference, it took me longer to beat Iona and Kofu than it did Larry, Rhyme, and Tulip, plus all the other stuff that I've done in between. So I trekked back up to the peak of Glacedo Mountain. Not really, I flew. I stopped by the Pokemon Center when I fought Rhyme. I began the gym test, which is pretty fun. You get to ski down the mountain and make sure you hit all the gates. I got the snow texture glitch first try. Nice. And completed a course record. Well, I think. Now all that's left was to battle Grusha, the Ice Gym leader, which, being fire, I felt pretty confident at this point that it wouldn't be a problem. Grusha's team is Frostmoth, Beartick, Cetitan, and an Ice Terra Altaria. I still love seeing Talonflame shine. I didn't even bother Swords Dancing on Frostmoth, just 1 Flame Charge and it's gone. Next he throws out Cetitan, and since Cetitan can learn water moves, I need to Terra. It's also super bulky, so now I need to raise my attack. 2 Swords Dances and a Flame Charge and I'm on to Beartick, who isn't around long, as 1 Flame Charge sends him packing as well. Last, Altaria. I switch Brave Bird to Flare Blitz. Flare Blitz is exactly like Brave Bird, same power, same recoil, just a fire type. One of these bad boys takes out Altaria, and with that, we have all 8 badges. As much as I wanted to just go face the Elite Four at this point, I had other badges to complete. There were only 3 left at this point: the Fairy Starfall base, the Dondozo Tatsugiri Titan, and the Fighting Starfall base. Level-wise, the Fairy base was closest, so that was my next target. Clive, of course, pops in to say hello, and Ortega, the leader, has a team of Azumarill, Wigglytuff, Dashbun, and Revavroom. Since Ortega leads with Azumarill, I have to Terra to avoid a water move knocking me out. Setting up against it was a little bit tough. Play Rough hits hard, and it also knows Aqua Tail. I needed to go back to Rest here as I was struggling to get past Wigglytuff, simply because I was taking way too much damage trying to set up. Once Azumarill gets burned and I had my attack boosted, I was able to start attacking. I connected an Aerial Ace through Sleep Talk, then I woke up and hit another one on Wigglytuff. 2 down. Dashbun was next to receive an Aerial Ace, and finally the Revavroom. A single Aerial Ace sadly wouldn't knock it out, and when the Revavroom comes out, it sets up Misty Terrain from its ability Misty Surge. Now, on my try before this, I tried to rest against Revavroom, only to find out that you can't rest in Misty Terrain. So on turn 2, I had only one option: attack. I just needed to hope that I was faster than it. And I am. Revavroom down, and now only 1 Starfall base remains standing. Our final Titan was next. If you don't know about this fight, there's technically 2 Titans with the 3rd phase in this fight. The first part is Dondozo, as the Tatsugiri jumps into its mouth, which is a reference to its commander ability. Obviously, Dondozo being water means that I need to Terra, but besides that, it's not too complicated since I get the burn early on. I boost my attack and Rest due to Body Slam still hitting pretty hard, and I'm able to get an Aerial Ace through Sleep Talk, and the first phase is done. Arvin brings a Greedent for phase 2. I guess I shouldn't be complaining, help is help. A combo of Takedown from Greedent and Aerial Aces from Talonflame are enough to KO the Dondozo. As you think you've done it, the Titans are done, you can start celebrating. The Tatsugiri returns for round 3. Luckily, this isn't a challenge, it only took 2 turns. 1 Swords Dance and a Tail Whip from Greedent, and an Aerial Ace gets the KO. And now, we are officially done with the Titans. Koraidon gets the ability to climb, and Arven's Mabostiff is back to full health. Those Herbamysticas are a wonder drug. We're finally down to one badge left before we take on the Elite Four and wrap up the other paths. The final boss standing in our way is Aerie, the fighting Starfall boss. Luckily for us, flying is greater than fighting, so as long as we don't need to Terra to normal, we are chillin'. Aerie's team consists of Toxicroak, Passimian, Lucario, Annihilate, and Reverum. A pretty deep team. This looks to be the first team of 5 that we faced. Talonflame is level 55 at this point, and I'm rocking Sharpbeak, Swords Dance, Aerial Ace, Rest, and Sleep Talk. I Swords Dance into Toxicroak, and in return he hits me with a poison jab. I get poisoned, but he also gets burnt, which is a trade I'll take. I can rest to cure poison, but now I can set up with reduced damage. I get to +4 attack, and now need to rest. I use Sleep Talk and hit an Aerial Ace to get the first KO. Passimian comes out, and I luckily hit a second Aerial Ace through Sleep Talk. I now have a choice to make against Lucario. I can Sword Dance to get the +6 attack, or try an Aerial Ace to get the KO. Thinking that there's nothing Lucario has to KO me, I go for the Sword Dance, and Lucario goes with Dragon Pulse, which doesn't hit that hard. I'm now free to Aerial Ace my way to victory. Lucario and Annihilate fall to Aerial Ace.
Oh, we'll see you later. Let's go.
And to my surprise, so does the Reverum, in one shot. That's gotta be a first. I've defeated Aerie, and with that, I now have all 18 badges. This felt so good. This challenge was a large project, but I was partly worried that I wouldn't be able to succeed under these conditions. I was proud to complete the 18 badges, but now I had my sights set on the Elite Four. Talonflame was level 57, and I was prepared to take on Rika, the first member. First, you must answer some questions on where you go to school and who was the hardest gym leader. Then it's time. Rika specializes in ground Pokemon, and her team was Wishcash, Camerupt, Donphan, Dugtrio, and Clodsire. I struggled with this battle. A lot of her Pokemon have Earthquake and Earth Power, which hit pretty hard. I decided to move away from Aerial Ace and start using Fly. Fly has more power. This paired with Sharpbeak, it was doing a lot more damage. I also swapped in Will-O-Wisp for Sleep Talk, with the idea being that if I burn my opponent, I can live through its attacks while I rest, and not have to rely on Flame Body. If Flame Body didn't hit, I wasn't living through rest. Now, I lost the footage of me beating Rika. Well, I didn't lose it, but it's frozen on me picking TMs. I really don't know what happened. I only had me killing Clodsire, so the footage you're watching is a failed attempt. But this is how it generally goes. I burned Wishcast on turn 1 to allow me to set up easier, and live through the attacks while I rest. Once I was set up, I would use Fly to get my kills. Now, I needed to rest on our whole team, but as long as they were burnt, I was okay. Okay, now here's the footage of me killing Clodsire and beating Rika. At 14 HP after I get the burn, so I need to rest. Luckily, I tanked 2 Earthquakes and was able to not miss the Fly and get the KO.
Yes, yes.
Rika was definitely one of the harder battles in this run, so I'm glad to get her out of the way, but now I'm worried that the remaining 3 are going to be tough. Next up was Poppy. She's this cute little girl that's friends with Rika, and her team consists of Steel Pokemon. So I made a pivot into Fire moves before our battle, and threw on Charcoal to give myself more damage. My moveset is Flame Charge, Will-O-Wisp, Sunny Day, and Swords Dance. Her team looks like this: Copperajah, Magnezone, Bronzong, Corviknight, and a Steel Terra Tinkaton. Copperajah uses Heavy Slaying, and that thing is so massive, so burning it was the first thing I had to do to ensure I take less damage. From here, I used Swords Dance twice and smacked it with a Flame Charge. Next was Magnezone. I Terra here to avoid an electric move and burn it for good measure. I Flame Charged the Magnezone, and then the Corviknight, and then the Bronzong, all one-shotting them to bring out Tinkaton. This was my 3rd try against Poppy, and the first time getting to Tinkaton, so I wasn't sure if Flame Charge would kill.
Let's go. Yes. Yes.
But I was stressing over nothing. Poppy was defeated, and I was halfway through the Elite Four. I did make a kid cry, which wasn't fun, but hey, it's strictly business. The next opponent is a familiar face, and it's the best familiar face, actually. Larry. He runs double shift between his gym and the Elite Four, but his team is different. He runs Flying type here, which really neither helps nor hurts me. His team consists of Tropius, Oricorio, Altaria, Staraptor, and a Flying Terra Flamigo. Tropius opening is the best case scenario here. It can't do much damage to me, so I can set up all I want. It also uses Sunny Day, which, hello? Just perfect, since I didn't adjust my moveset. After getting fully set up and tanking 2 air slashes, it's time to go to work. Back to back to back Flame Charges kill Tropius, Staraptor, and Oricorio. Against Altaria, I end up needing 2 Flame Charges where I eat a Dragon Pulse. While I'm down to 35 HP, he's down to his last Pokemon. 1 more Flame Charge, and I'm on to Hassle.
Let's go. Yes.
It connects, and I get the KO. Larry has this funny moment where he's incapable of calling Hassle out. I find this hilarious. I just love Larry. Hassle is last, and he uses Dragon Pokemon. I figured that this had to be the hardest of the bunch. Dragon Pokemon just normally hit harder, and I was worried that the damage output would be too much. His team consists of Noivern, Haxorus, Draglage, Flapple, and a Dragon Terra Baxcalibur. I went with a new moveset here: Will-O-Wisp, Rest, Acrobatics, and Swords Dance. I took off my items so Acrobatics, which has 55 power, can now hit for double. That's 110 power, 10 short of Brave Bird, and I don't get any recoil. It seems odd, but maybe simpler is better? With Swords Dance, I should be able to hit hard and get all the KOs that I need. I still use Will-O-Wisp to ensure the burn and allow me to set up, and rest as a backup if I need it. My first attempt, I Swords Dance, and Noivern uses Hyper Fang, which isn't ideal. But I get the burn. I get my second Swords Dance off and luckily survive a Dragon Pulse. With 13 HP, I went for the Acrobatics, and it kills. At +4 attack, I think this just may be enough to sweep, so I go all in. Haxorus, Dragolich, Flapple, and Braxcalibur all fall to my Acrobatic sweep.
Let's go, first try. I smoked Hassel, let's go.
And despite thinking that this would be a long set of battles, I take Hassel down on attempt number 1. Now it was time for Geeta. See, the Elite Four always has a 5th member after you beat the first 4, a champion, and in this case, a top champion. The top dog, the big kahuna. This generation, it's Geeta. Geeta gets her own chapter. You want to know why? Because Geeta is the reason that music has been playing. I could probably have another video, an hour long, just on the strategies that I used on Geeta. But instead of that, let's go over why her team was so hard. Her team consists of Esparthra, Gogoat, Veluza, Avalugg, Kingambit, and a Rock Terra type Glamora. Let's start with Esparthra. Esparthra has a unique move called Lumina Crash, which does a decent chunk of damage, and it raises its special attack, so next move it's going to hit harder. So much so that I can't live 2 hits. So I need to kill it on turn 2, which means I only get 1 Swords Dance. I have to use a flying type move to kill Esparthra, as Flame Charge is too weak and Flare Blitz doesn't leave me with enough HP for Kingambit. So my 2 choices are Fly or Acrobatics. Let's put a pin in that. Next is Kingambit. Kingambit knows Stone Edge, which will one-shot me, so I either need to Terra or kill it turn 1. If I kill it turn 1, I have to use a fire move. Depending on if I Terra or not, changes which Pokemon comes out. Actually, as soon as I Terra, the next Pokemon that she sends out is Avalugg. This is because Avalugg knows Body Press, which is a fighting move, and it will absolutely crush me. So I need to kill Avalugg in 1 turn. If I don't Terra, then Veluza comes out, which is a water Pokemon. So now I must Terra since it knows Aqua Jet, which has priority and goes first. So I need to Terra to make sure that I don't die. From here, it's complicated because eventually we're going to get to Glamora, who is a Terra Rock, the absolute worst type for Talonflame. And after tons of experimenting here, there is only one scenario that kills Glamora. +6 attack, Flare Blitz while holding Charcoal. Now that we know that, we need to set up on either Veluza or Gogoat. Are you lost? No? Good. So how exactly do we do this? Remember that pin about which flying move we need? Well, since we must have Charcoal, we can't use Acrobatics, so Fly it is. And we need Flare Blitz and Swords Dance, so our last move is Rest. Turn 1, we Swords Dance against Esparthra and tank a Lumina Crash. Then we Fly to kill Esparthra. We then use Flare Blitz into Kingambit before it can attack. Flare Blitz does 1/3 recoil, so it will do 69 damage back. Heh, nice. Next is Veluza. So we Terra to survive the Aqua Jet and rest. After we Terra, Veluza will now do Liquidation, which will kill if it doesn't get burned. But even more so, it has a chance to lower our defense, which sort of goes against the point of hoping to burn. So we need to hope that we don't get our defense lowered too much. We can Fly to kill, but we need to make sure that we stay over 67 HP so that we can Flare Blitz Avalugg. If we're able to do that, Avalugg comes out and we need to Flare Blitz to kill it. Next is Gogoat. Gogoat ends up being the ideal Pokemon to set up on, even though it's technically possible with Veluza. We need to also land a burn or we'll die through the Horn Leeches. Once the burn is up, we can begin to Swords Dance and get to +6 attack. There's a chance that Gogoat uses Bulk Up, which isn't the end of the world since we don't lose health, but his attack grows, so he'll eventually do more damage if we're unable to set up in time. Once we're at +6 attack, we need to be above 77 health, as this is the damage that the recoil will get back from Flare Blitz on Glamora. Okay. And now, the moment we, or maybe just me, had been waiting for, Flare Blitzing Glamora and surviving the recoil.
Yes! 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 I did it! Yes! Oh, yes. Oh, please just leave the recoil. It should. It's only 77, I'm pretty sure. Yes! Oh, there it is. Oh, I beat her.
And with that, we defeat top champion Geeta. I could talk about this fight for a while, like I said, but this took days, literal days, and I'm so happy that I was able to get through it. I feared that Nemona would appear and be like, hey, let's battle right now, and I'd have to do something that happened with Larry, but luckily she said to meet me in Mezagoza, and we were only a handful of battles from officially beating the game. I needed to beat Nemona once more, Arven, Director Clavel, Penny, and Professor Sada. Welcome to the endgame. Up first was Arvin. His team is actually lower than Geeta's, so I kind of knew this would be easy. His team is all the Pokemon that he used throughout the Titans, just fully evolved. Greedent, Garganacl, Toadschool, Scavalion, Cloyster, and Mabosstiff. This was pretty simple. Set up on Greedent and use Acrobatics 6 times to get the win. It's unfortunate Geeta's battle wasn't this simple. Defeating Arvin means that the Path of Legend storyline is completed. I decided to fight Director Clavel next. He finally drops his whole Clive routine and claims to be Cassiopeia and demands to battle you. His team is pretty unique. It's Oranguru, Abomasnow, Poltergeist, Gyarados, Houndoom, and Meowscarada. Oranguru leads and I use Swords Dance, and it yawns. I decide to Terra and use Acrobatics to get the kill. Abomasnow comes out and uses Woodhammer and then Aurora Veil while I'm sleeping. I wake up to get the KO with Acrobatics. 2 down. Next up is Houndoom, who suffers the same fate as Abomasnow. Gyarados comes out, and this is the toughest Pokemon in the fight. It lowers my attack, so now I'm +1. Acrobatics doesn't kill. Acrobatics doesn't even do half. So I need to rest and hope for a burn, which I'm able to get on the last turn of rest. I wake up to only rest again, and this time I'm able to get the KO when I'm awake. Poltergeist isn't a threat and dies easily to 1 Acrobatics. Last but not least is Meowscarada, who I haven't seen yet in this game, but I have a Flare Blitz waiting for it as soon as it terras. Easy KO, and the fake Cassiopeia is defeated. Clavel gets yelled at by Mistime, and I'm free to just scoot away to go face the real Cassiopeia. Hopefully by now you know that it's Penny, whose team is the evolution line. Umbreon, Vaporeon, Jolteon, Flareon, Leafeon, and a Terra Fairy Sylveon. There's no real threats here besides Vaporeon and Jolteon, who I'll obviously just need to Terra for, but I can set up all I need on Umbreon to get the one-shots. Only thing that's unique here is that they all have Baby Doll Eyes, which lowers attack, so that means more Swords Dances, but if you're curious on how this battle goes, yeah, just like the others have gone. I was real set on this strat by now and ready to complete the game. By defeating Penny, Starfall Street was officially finished. Next was my final battle with Nemona. I do want to say that the little cutscene right before the fight is really well done. They make it look really nice, and I didn't appreciate this on my first run through when I played Violet. Her team has some new additions, with Orthworm and Dunsparce, but the strategy stays the same. I set up 2 Swords Dances against Lycanroc and begin to use Acrobatics. Pommo catches the same fate and Orthworm gets a Flare Blitz, since he's Steel. Dunsparce and Goodra both fall to Acrobatics, and finally it's time for Skeledirge, who really has been the toughest part of these battles. But at this point, I think you know what's about to happen. 1 hit and we are done. My nemesis is defeated. I was so naive to think that she would be my toughest opponent in this game. She did mess with me a few times, but she definitely wasn't the hardest. And now Victory Road is completed. We now just have one more mission. Head into Area 0 and defeat Professor Sada. Once our all-star team is assembled, we make our way into the crater. Now, I lost the footage of me walking through a lot of this, but honestly, you didn't want to see all that. It's a lot of walking and me bullying Paradox Pokemon. So let's get to what we're here for. The battle with Professor Sada. We find out she's an AI and that Arvin's mom is dead. Her team consists of the Paradox Pokemon from this game: Slitherwing, Screamtail, Brute Bonnet, Fluttermane, Sandy Shocks, and the big bad Roaring Moon. Slitherwing opens, and this is ideal as it's bug fighting, so I can just set up and get ready to sweep. Once I KO Slitherwing, I need to Terra into Fluttermane as it knows Power Gem, and actually Thunderbolt. I need to boost my speed in this fight because, as I found out, Screamtail is a lot faster than I would have assumed, and it knows Drain Punch, which will kill me. Luckily, I'm level 67, and at level 65, I was able to learn a move that I really wish they gave me sooner: Roost. I can heal myself half of my total HP without needing to sleep. So against Fluttermane, I make sure to get some flame charges off to ensure that I boost my speed enough to one-shot Screamtail. After that, I grab the KO into Fluttermane. I used up all my Roost setting up as Thunderbolt was hitting pretty hard, but it didn't matter. I was fast and strong. I didn't need to heal anymore. Despite a Sucker Punch from Brute Bonnet, I was free to one-shot her Pokemon with Flame Charge and Acrobatics.
Ah, it's over. We did it, Talonflame.
And that's the end. Well, there's this battle with Koraidon, but it's boring and I don't use Talonflame, so we're just gonna skip that. We walk out of the crater and the credits roll. Challenge completed. This was definitely a tough challenge to say the least. It pushed my knowledge of matchups and I learned a ton about new items, moves that I thought I knew, and a ton of strategy. I'm really proud of myself for completing this, and now this shiny Talonflame has such a cool story behind it. It makes this shiny so much more special. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and again, if you could like and subscribe, it would mean the world. I put a lot of time and effort into this. Thanks, and I will see you in the next video.